Our democratic systems are currently facing a stress test, with the Trump campaign baselessly claiming there is widespread voter fraud without any evidence and losing lawsuit after lawsuit in court. Now, one state the Trump campaign has tried to focus on is Michigan. And we should be very clear here. President-elect Joe Biden has won the state, and by roughly 150,000 votes, far past the margin Donald Trump won that state by 4 years ago. Joining us now is the Michigan Secretary of State, Jocelyn Benson. Thanks so much for coming back on the show. Let's dive right into this. 2 nights ago, 2 Republicans declined to certify the results in heavily Democratic and heavily black Wayne County. That spurred this angry public outcry. Take a listen.
You talked about not certifying Detroit, even though you acknowledged that Livonia, a city, by the way, I know you know is 95% white, had bigger variances than Detroit, which is 80% black. We understand. Just know when you try to sleep tonight, the law isn't on your side, history won't be on your side, your conscience will not be on your side, and Lord knows, when you go to meet your maker, your soul is going to be very, very warm.
Some damning words there. Later that night, the 2 Republicans reversed course and certified the results. Now, a day later, they want to change their mind. Now, can you bring us up to speed about that situation, and what can we now expect when the whole state votes to certify its results on Monday?
Well, I think, first, it's clear that the voters of Wayne County and Michigan have spoken, and they've made a choice. And there's no legal or factual basis for anyone to question that choice or challenge it. And so we accept the Wayne County certification, just as we accepted every one of our 83 counties certification, as it was properly made in a public vote, in a public meeting. And now we're moving forward and calling on the Board of State Canvassers to do the same.
Now, how concerning is it that the President of the United States actually called those 2 Republicans?
It's certainly improper for any candidate on either side of the aisle to attempt to interfere with or obstruct a process that is very well ingrained in the law, with an eye towards the processes protecting the will of voters. So that is what it is. But as I've said, repeatedly throughout this entire election cycle, and certainly since the polls closed November 3rd, candidates don't choose who wins an election. The voters do. And the voters indeed have spoken in Michigan, and their will carry the day.
And again, let's be very clear here. You've said publicly where evidence exists of actual fraud or wrongdoing, it should be submitted in writing to the Bureau of Elections. Has any evidence been submitted?
No, but if it is, and if there's, certainly there has been no evidence of widespread fraud. There's been no evidence of any irregularities of any kind. The only issues that emerged during the very contentious open meeting at the Wayne County Board of Canvassers were those with regards to clerical errors, which there were actually less of this time around than there were in 2016 when the board did certify then the results. And so our office will be, after the certification is done, as we always do, conducting performance-based audits to look into any clerical errors, as well as the state's first statewide risk limiting audit. And again, under law, we have to wait until the certification occurs to do that. So we've got protocols in place to assure voters of the accuracy and the integrity of the process, and we're going to continue to follow those protocols. And we expect everyone else to do their jobs and do the same.
And you're already talking about after the certification. Are you confident that the State Board of Canvassers will certify on November 23rd?
But it's certainly what the expectation is. We're calling on them to do what is very clearly laid out in the law. Once each county formally certifies the canvass, it then is cast onto the state board to play the administrative role of formally certifying the statewide election, and then we can move forward from there with post-election audits. So we expect everyone to simply do the job that they're required to do under the law. And again, the law is quite clear on the administrative role that the state board plays.
Now, if the state board is deadlocked like the Wayne County board, will you immediately pursue a remedy in the courts?
That's really more of a question for the Attorney General. We're really focused on just making sure the state board has what it needs to do its job, and it very clearly does. And again, this should be just a simple protocol, run-of-the-mill administrative process, and it is important for us to focus on that and to affirm and confirm with the state board their intention to do the same.
Now, as I mentioned earlier, this appears to really be a stress test for our democracy. In your mind, is Michigan passing this test? And are there any reforms that you might recommend ahead of the next election? And what happens in the future of future elections if people refuse to certify results, particularly if they're fair?
Well, that's exactly right. I mean, I think we have to be very clear what is happening right now is a moment, and it's just a moment, and we will get through this moment, and the will of the people in Michigan and throughout the country will be heard. But once we get through this moment, we do have to examine, both here in Michigan and across the country, how we can come together and assure voters on both sides of the aisle that no matter how you voted or who you voted for, this election was secure, it was a success, and moving forward, we need to work together to continue to reaffirm and even grow voters' confidence in our very well secured and accessible elections process. So that is the work ahead of us, both again in Michigan and nationwide. I'm looking towards that because we will have to address the negative implications of this essentially PR and political campaign that's been waged against our democracy in the past few days. But again, I'm confident we will get through this. We will move forward, and we will do the important work of healing our democracy moving forward.
Jocelyn Benson, thanks so much for your time.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.